which is what I do. Witness, witness, witness.
All right.
We're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I got this is recording. Let's see.
Sure.
Seems to be. 2020. Yeah, it's recording. All right. Some of the questions that I had were, how long have you been doing this? On the road, how long have you been doing anti-abortion ministry?
Well, being a question, I would say, how long have I been doing? Depending upon what phase of it. I had people say, how long have you been doing this? I said, what phase of it? Okay. My first rescue, my first exposure, which is the last third of my life, I would say, is I was cutting hair in, I'd say I was in California, and I heard about Operation Rescue, interviewed by James Dobson, and just got out of jail. And I'm listening to it, and it about blew my mind, as far as what was going on and what went on, and gave higher laws. They're blocking the doors to the abortion clinic. Higher laws. God's law is higher than man's. I'd never naturally go into a normal church. We're not exposed to any of this stuff. And as those of us who go to church know. And so anyway, I listened to it, then sent away for a copy of the higher laws, because I like to be agreeing. I like to check it out and see what it says and have peace with God with it. And I did. And in the same envelope that they sent the higher laws, they said, come to Atlanta, we're doing a rescue. Before that, I had never been to an abortion clinic. I didn't know anybody who had been to an abortion clinic. I never thought about going to an abortion clinic. 3 days later, I was on a plane. 4 days later, I found myself having been beat up by the police in a holding tank. First of all, in the holding tank, I met Father Norm Westland sitting there. And later on, I bumped right next to Chet Gallagher, who was still a cop at that time. And that was the beginning. And we went from rescue to rescue. That's October the 4th, 1988. And then we started doing rescues. And I remember I was still cutting the hair in California. And there's activity going on throughout the United States. The church became alive with this, especially when the police beat us up, and they were more, trying to, especially against the police more than us. So they constantly pounded on it, and this helped. The Lord used that to help spread rescue throughout the United States activity. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. As we're getting beat up, what it did. And so I remember cutting hair of those who were working at the Crisis Culture Center and doing things in California. And so the goal naturally was end abortion. And I can remember, you laugh over this one, I find it a little chuckle. I said, how long are we going to have to do this before, this is outlawed? And they said, as best they can figure, it's going to be at least 2-3 years. And I looked at it and I said, you mean I've got to do this for 2 or 3 more years? That's where I was. And that's it came down to the point of where we were with rescue, that I knew in 1989 I was going to have to eventually either quit rescuing because of wanting us to go to jail, and what would be, and go back to work, which is most men do. Okay, and or quit working, leave my work to come. I knew that was coming, and then it would have been Veterans Day, 1989, Veterans Day rescue in Washington D.C. that they kind of dropped the bomb. That reforming missionaries in Atlanta, Georgia, who will come? So I could like to say would have been much harder for you to say no than it was to say yes. The Lord had raised up leadership in the United States to end child sacrifice, stop this murder of the unborn. I don't see where the Lord gave me any choice. I had to fall in and be counted, fall in the ranks and be counted. So I left my work, 1989, became a missionary in Atlanta, Georgia for 2.5 years. Okay, and we spent so much time in jail. By 2.5 years, things were moving up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and much more is being accomplished up there. Less time in jail, and that's where it made sense to fight the battle. So, basically speaking, what the organized activities we had in Atlanta ended, and some of us moved up to Milwaukee, and there I served for 2.5 years doing the same thing. That's where I met Dan Holman, okay, because he was there serving, and we served together for 2.5 years, and then we had Faith come in. It ended. Whenever you got troops, you figure how many troops you have and where can you fight the battle. The Lord used the enemy to end us blocking the doors. So much time in jail for so little exposure. Good to do, but that's what we were doing. And so, like with Matt, everybody would start going to the streets of America with the abortion pictures. And and that's where I kind of went from that to holding signs at the abortion clinics, and said rather than blocking the doors, and so as the Lord leads, and I would say that of things I've done, there has the Apostle Paul. I'm just hitting it right now here. Okay, he said, "Count it all joy." Joy does not mean fun. It's not meaning happy. It's joy that you're used by the Lord. And I was among those, when you're doing the rescue, you don't know what's going to happen, but I was above those who wound up were the first ones that went before the Supreme Court. And when they decided this illegal law was legal, okay, we were first ones convicted under faith. So federal access to clinic entrance, that's illegal. But everything else is illegal there too. So anyway, that ended that. So I wound up back in California. And there we started going to abortion clinics, just holding the signs and then the tours. And then through circumstances, when we talk about evolution, evolving, I think that's about as close as I can say is whatever we're doing on the streets in Milwaukee, we had meetings every Wednesday, and depending upon what took place with the law and everything, we kind of changed our strategy. And as far as me, I just was going to the clinics. I wound up, I had a Mustang. But what you see me to drive today is not me. I was a Mustang man. I'm a different person today. But I never wanted a van, and the last thing I ever wanted was a motorhome. And I was out there staying with different host families. Okay, I've stayed with host families since 1990 when I left California, and stayed with the Dyers in Milwaukee, and when we're, there's a mission there. So that's what I was doing, and people would bring the signs to the clinic and stand there. And I quite often just supported different people around. We had Operation Rescue San Diego. We had Operation Rescue up in the mountains. It was called California was Operation California, then Operation West, and that was run by Jeff White. So I'd go back and forth with them and deliver surplus food and be at the clinics and just haul the signs around. I wound up becoming the sign man. Wound up being given a van. So I started using the van, and so I could haul stuff around. And it beat, trying to do all in a Mustang hatchback. But anyway, it just made sense to me. I'm hauling these signs around. Why not keep them on the vehicle? Keep them on the van.
What year did you decide? What year did you decide to, or did you start driving a truth truck?
Okay, I'm discussing that right now.
Well, I want to know the year.
Oh, the year. Thank you. Let's see. It would have been. Let's say I came back in we had the Republican National Convention there in San Diego, and so that would have been 1996. And I had my first van there, but I didn't get the signs on it until after the convention. So that is when I started putting the signs on the van.
That was 22 years ago.
Okay.
So you've been driving a truth truck for 22 years?
Yes. Okay. At first, I still stayed with the host family, and I'd strictly go out, and whenever I'd go any place, I drove the truck. I drove the van. That's what I did. I witnessed every place I went. But I'd come home, and I stayed in it was there in San Diego area, and El Cajon that I stayed at. There was a porch that they converted into a bedroom, and I stayed there with the family. And so I wound up having it. And then as time went on, so I strictly had the van, and that was what I drove. I was with Connie Youngkin. She and I would wind up, and once again, this constantly evolved. It did start boom, 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 overnight. It just as the situation was here, all I've ever done is respond to things. What the Lord put in front of me, I've responded. Okay? Not my great initiative to go out and do it. Just what makes sense to do. So to give exposure with these signs all the time rather than just at the clinic, started putting them on my van.
Okay, well, in 1996, I just got it on the internet, the convention, the Democratic Party convention, the national convention was held in Chicago.
Okay, I said the Republican.
Oh, Republican, okay.
And it was a Republican in San Diego.
Okay. All right.
It was at that, I think it was at that convention. Remember, I'd already been convicted under faith. So I'm looking at the second charge. And Clinton was running for the second time. And Norma McCorvey was with us. And she was going to rescue. And so they're doing rescues during that. I can remember they did 3 rescues. I remember telling the Lord, the cost of this. But I had to do it because the situation warranted. Clinton running a second one, Norma McCorvey there, I had to be part of it. So I rescued all 3 times. And without going through the details of it, in the Lord's grace, I was not arrested. And when they pulled us off the last clinic, I remember with Troy Newman, because he was heading up Operation Save America San Diego, Operation Rescue San Diego. He and I were very good friends back then. He put his, and you know his height and mine, he put his arm over on my shoulder. I just looked at him and I said, Troy, thank you for holding me down. I could float away. I never dreamed I was going to walk away from this a free man. And I did. But anyway, from there it went in, that's when we had the bands, and then we started the tours, and Matt is the first one with the tours. As far as he was the organizer, he had it together better than anybody else, and those who were wise tried to copy him, what he did. Some wouldn't, but he still had the best ones going. He had it well organized. And so, with what I did, through circumstances, in this process when we were doing this through these early years, when I still stayed there in El Cajon, Cheryl Solinger and other ones were out, and we had the women that would be doing the tours, and they would be separate naturally from the men who had a motorhome and traveling, and they were looking to get this motorhome Toyota that a pro-lifer had, and was giving a really good price on it to pro-lifers. And I remember Cheryl saying, it'd be good for you. And I said, I don't want a motorhome. I don't want it. And we're up in L.A., and he says, well, go look at it. I said, well, it made sense to do, so I did. And I looked at it, and I didn't like it. I went inside and started looking at it and thinking what I should do, what I could do. And I wound up owning a motorhome and a van. So I was using the two of them with different messages on them in San Diego. Okay. So that's what I was doing in relationship to them, and making a decision. I'm not going to be staying with a host family, not going to be doing this or that. I'm going to be on the road all the time. That wasn't my decision. All I did was respond to what was before me, and I found myself doing it. This is where I was. That's all. And that's not... that's just the gospel truth. I've never, basically speaking, most of my life, all I've ever done is respond to what the Lord has put in front of me. And what a trip it has been. Have I enjoyed it? Well, but have I been happy doing it? I mean, who in their right mind, being beat up by the police, sitting in a holding tank cold on a mat, is happy? But the Lord always had the door open for me to witness, to do things that I'd never been able to do if that isn't where He put me. I have, during the early years of jail, I had never really witnessed that much. I taught Sunday school. I was an elder in my church, all that. But never dreaming that one day I'm going to be in jail and I'm surrounded by men that need to hear the gospel. I hold a Bible study every day, teaching them, just sharing the scripture, praying with them, counseling with them. I can remember in a jail cell on my knees before the Lord, thanking Him for this ministry. I never dreamed that I would ever be in a situation where I was being used to the extent that my life was. And that's not a hint of exaggeration. I was very humbled that the Lord would use me in that way. So anyway, one thing after another, I found myself just on the road all the time. Okay, I had plans. My thought was different than that. But the issues kept me from getting back to, from doing it. I just wound up finding myself, one thing after another, just living, wound up in the motorhome because they're more comfortable, and I still had able to work on things and such back then, and that's what I did. And I just look at it and say, thank you for your direction, Lord. Thank you. Here I am. Here I am. So if that answers that question.
Okay. And
here I am. Here I am today. The card I used to have in these number of years, the card that I used to have at one time had said, engage in the culture coast to coast. And that's what I did. this is an 80-year-old body. Those days are gone. I used to travel back and forth.
Oh, so you're
Now
80.
I just,
You're 80 today. This is
well, I've been 80 for a little while, but yes, I am 80 years old now.
so your birthday is when?
Oh, August 9th.
August 9th, 2018. You're 80 years old. Okay, I thought you're a little younger, but
My
now
body will witness it.
yeah. Now you minister in Washington D.C. mostly, right?
Well,
and
in the Lord's grace is I'm able to work with my body. Doc Johnson has let me know, and without going in, I can go into the details of what the condition my body's in. It's a different body than I had 4 years ago. Okay. My days of traveling are over. Okay, the arthritis and things. So anyway, Martin Luther made the statement of, if I profess with the loudest voice every truth of God, except that point where the world and the devil are attacking at that moment, I'm not professing Christ. So during the time Obama was in power, there was more evil going on there any place in the United States. And right now, if where the battle is, without those of us who are in pro-life movement know where there's, like California is in the sewer morally, and we're not a whole lot better back here, but anybody doing any kind of resistance is back here more east. And in D.C., my card's saying, the conscience of Washington, D.C., that's Martin Luther's statement backs that up. I'm there before them witnessing the truth. And people have said, D.C., they don't have any conscience. I said, I know. That's me. Putting God's truth in. I've got where would say Caesar lives, got where, as the scripture would say, the Senate lives. We got the heart of America comes there. This truck gets to witness of thousands of people every hour in D.C. How can anybody beat that as a blessing?
why don't you tell us about the health problems you're having right now? This is November 29th, 2018, and you're still on the road, even with all the health problems that you have. Why don't you describe them?
Oh, okay. Here again in the blessings. I remember a long time ago, in different sermons, he who is serious will find a way. He who isn't will find an excuse. I always encourage men, don't look at what you can't do and do nothing. Look at what you can do and get busy in doing it. Make your life worthwhile. Okay. This idea of what I'm doing, the True Trucks, wasn't a great plan of mine. I just responded with the abilities the Lord gave me and what He put in front of me and what made sense. So, anyway, the blessings of it, of many, I am looking at it with the blessings driving this. I can, let me think about that. I can be in D.C. Okay, what it was, excuse me, backtrack a little bit. I was told in my around 50 or so, I had arthritis. And I said, where? And they said, throughout your body. I looked at them and said, well, okay, it doesn't bother me at all, so what choice do I have? Okay, about, I think it's 4 years last October, or last August, all of a sudden, I'm walking, and I had to hang on to cars to get to my truck. My back hurt so bad. And from there, Doc Johnson, one of our street activists, Doc Johnson, for those of us who know him, he told me what I had, and it's a critical disease of the spine. And I've got a curvature of the spine, a compressed vertebrae, and arthritis is set in. I have had a tremendous amount of pain and disability with that since August of 4 years ago.
Okay, now you also can't use.
That was the beginning. Okay, there's more to it than that. Go ahead.
You also can't use your fingers very good, can you?
Okay. Well, the arthritis is throughout my body, and my hands are getting less and less of use. There are times when it's cold. I have to take 2 hands to turn the key in my ignition. But I'm able to get it done. Hallelujah. Okay, I'm able to get it done.
And you can't walk very far either, can you?
With the pain in my back, okay, to add with what I've already said, my truck ran over my left heel. I've got a crushed heel. And it's still here. I still feel it. It hurts. And as Doc Johnson said, arthritis has set into your heel now. So I just wobble around from place to place is where I am. And the arthritis, I spend a good share of my day just trying to keep my body moving so it doesn't freeze up and I can't use anything. So that's where I'm at.
Now you can't even sleep in your sleeper anymore, can you?
Oh, it scares me. I used to sleep. I love sleeping over my, where they normally have them in motorhomes because I had plenty of room. I stretched out. Okay. Just working on the trucks when I was down in North Carolina, a couple of months ago, because I've been down there in several different issues fighting. Okay. Because, there's issues that I should be addressing and fighting, I wish I could do. And I was witnessing down there. And I was working on the truck, and I fell. And I wound up, in the Lord's grace, I wound up, nothing was broke, nothing was fractured, but I hurt. And I just found out that my equilibrium's been gone for a long time.
Now you also have congestive heart failure too.
Yeah. Well, that partly, I think how I got the congestive heart failure was when I had the crushed heel. I was in a cast, which means I couldn't use it, couldn't move, and couldn't do a whole lot of things. You're not supposed to do anything. Wasn't supposed to be on it. Wasn't supposed to walk. So it makes you bedridden. Well, you can handle being bedridden when you live in a motorhome. You put your bad leg, which is in a cast, on the couch and hobble back and forth or hang on to things back and forth until you get around. And to go grocery shopping and do things like that, they got those nice little electric carts that they come up and you go away in them. I survived.
Now, when you talk about a motorhome, this is really a mini motorhome. It's not really a full-size motorhome.
Well, it's 20 foot.
20 foot long.
Okay, the idea of making sure it's 20 foot is that I can park most legal parking spots if they enforce it.
So the inside of the living space of the motorhome, is it about the size of a cell, a jail cell?
Well, it's been a who's jail cell, but I would say when I was writing one of the inmates one time, he said, I showed pictures of what the inside of my home looked like, and he said, well, you ought to try to live in a 6 foot by 6 foot box.
They're 6 by 9 actually.
6 by 9. Well, this is what we're talking about.
Right.
But
so that's been your home for at least the last 20 years or more.
Oh yeah. And I'm very thankful. It's all I need.
But you're living, but you're living out in the elements too. If it's cold, you're cold.
Yeah.
The walls are paper thin. The walls are very thin. So
when I go to bed at night, they depend on what it is. I used to say take my shoes off and put slippers on. I haven't had them recently. The way I am dressed during the day, where I'm at, I just crawl in like that underneath the blankets, try to stay warm. Okay, and when you're asking about where I slept over the cab with the arthritis, my hands became so clumsy, I was afraid, because we've had to put 2x4s in here. They put, bless me, 2x4s trying to hold the roof up with the, condition of it. I'd hang on to the 2x4s to get up and down. My hands would slip off the 2x4s. I didn't want to fall again. If I fell again, I may not be able to walk.
Now, while you're in Washington, D.C., where do you sleep most of the time?
I mean, this is right here, letting through secrets. Okay. Oh, yeah, well, this won't be recorded until after I'm gone.
Right.
So that's just fine. I'm thinking I don't want them putting out information there that if they're wrong, that the...
But is it a high... Well, we don't have to know the exact spot. But
okay.
is it a high exposure area where people can see your signs?
I would say in the blessings of the Lord, depend where I am at. Like when I'm down here in Charlotte, North Carolina, I hide it. Even up here in Raleigh, I hide it at night because I'll be vandalized. Okay. In D.C., we got so many police. I sleep. Constitution is the busiest street in D.C. I'm able to sleep on D.C., and I've got the Capitol Police right there to protect me. Yeah,
and
I'm not saying they're shook.
When you're sleeping on Constitution Avenue, you're pretty close to the White House, too, aren't you?
White House is on one side, and the Washington Monument's on the other. Right at 15th Street. It would be 16th Strestreet.
16th Street.
Okay.
So you're almost. Are you within sight of the White House?
All I got to do is look out my passenger door, and there it is, right in front of me.
What a opportunity that is! I imagine there's been a number of presidents that have.
Oh, I mean, where I am and where I park during the day, and because I do drive a lot, or drive some. I'm driving less and less and less with his body, and but still, the presidential limousines go by me all the time. It's a continual thing, getting the exposure.
And you get a lot of foot traffic.
It's not my job.
You get a lot of foot traffic by you too, don't you?
Yes.
So you have like hundreds or thousands, probably thousands of people that pass you every day or see your message every day in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's true. That is. Who could ask, if you want to be used by the Lord, who could ask for better blessings than this to be used?
Right, and then you change the message on your van for the issue of the day, basically, the issue that's going on at that time.
Oh, yes, sure. Right now, it's Christmas and Thanksgiving. I made up signs. This nation used to recognize Thanksgiving. This year, they don't recognize Thanksgiving. They recognize Halloween and went right into Christmas. They ignored as far as selling anything to have to do with Halloween or Thanksgiving. I didn't. It's on the back of the truck. Okay. And so I witnessed that, and I still got it on here. And I'll be up in D.C., and Roe versus Wade coming up. I'll be addressing that. But I had to what I got on here right now, I had to convert from, because I remember we just had the election, and Alan Hoyle was running for sheriff to defy the tyrants.com in Lincolnton. Okay, so
I've been
working with it.
You've been at quite a few national type events, like with Judge Roy Moore and the Ten Commandments, Soledad Cross. Why don't you, just off the top of your head, give the events that you were at, that you attended, that you were a witness at?
I couldn't even start to do that. There's so many.
Shivo.
I'm just saying, as far as the blessings of some things that I wanted to be part of, and I was. Okay, back when we started with Judge Roy Moore and the Ten Commandments, taking them out of the courthouse, and way back then, that's quite a while.
Well, Terry Schiavo was about that time too, wasn't it?
I'll cover her in a second.
Okay.
Okay, and I said, Lord, if it comes down to a battle, I want to be there. And I was there with the Ten Commandments on my truck when they took them out, when I was there. To me, that was an important one for me to be there witnessing the Ten Commandments. Okay. In the Lord's grace, when Terry Schiavo, I was down there twice. When you're starving as a gas, more than that, I was at Christine Basalucci, Nancy Frazan, involved in these. But really, when it's Terry Schiavo, I was able to be there when they did it. I had, I think I was doing a regional event in North Carolina. I think it's with ATOG. I heard what they were doing, where it was with it, and so I put new messages on the truck dealing with this, pictures of her, and headed that direction. And I was there when they starved her to death and part of that event. And when the Lord gives you joy, not only having been part of it and given the exposure and the part He allowed me to play, I'll never forget this. When I got down there, it's at night. People were camped out, where she was in the nursing home or whatever it was there. Okay, and we had the different stuff going on. And it was at night, bright lights every place. People were camped out. And I drove in with the motorhome with this issue on it. People who were there saw what was on the truck. And they started clapping. I cried. Thank you, Lord, you allowed me to be here and support this, of the wrong it is. So I stayed there all the time until she died, addressing that issue. And that was definitely a highlight. We want to talk about a highlight. Okay. This is not a real popular one, which I was going to stay away from, but it's an important one to me. We've had 2 pro-life martyrs. One was Pulliam, and all of a sudden his first name isn't coming to me. And
Jim Pulliam.
Up in Owasso. Yeah, Jim Pulliam. Mm-hmm. I knew him well. I could go into that one because I was with him. Where he shot to death, I was there. Mm-hmm. But the other one is Paul Hill.
Yeah.
And he was executed. And I said, Lord, if it comes down to this, I want to be there. Just for the fact of, for whatever the issue might be, but a man gave up his life. Greater love have no man. He lay down his life for a friend. The method, I'm trying not to get into issues of it, but the man gave up his family, his life, to try to stop the murder going on. And I had, still today, honor that. Okay, so I was there for that. So that's another biggie that I asked the Lord, please, can I be there? Other ones are good ones, but those are biggies. One of the more scary ones, just thinking about it, and got a lot of comments from our people, is when Obama, they're building the mosque near the Twin Towers where it was in New York. And we had his wife going there speaking, and where the mosque was, and they're going to build our Muslims build one of their temples, sir. And that was a big thing. It was all over the news, and we had those coming and that were in favor of it, and they were on the streets. Our people who came and, opposing it. I'd been there over a week. Okay. I went there with the truck. And if you want to talk about a hair-raising event, I walked out of there, drove out of there a free man, and I didn't think that was going to happen. Okay, just trying to be careful because I had my life threatened. I was dealing with, I had something on the truck for everybody. I had abortion on there, sodomy on there, Muslims on there. I had something for everybody. Everybody has a reason, can hate me, and they did. They did. And I can remember a lot of humor where I'd look at for the humor. I remember one time when the police had me pulled over and for checking out people with their weight and, stuff for trucks. What are you guys doing with me? And they no comment because they knew what was going on, and they knew I knew what was going on. But they went over and over and over me, trying to figure out something that they could force me to leave because I was a problem for them being there. The person because I'm riling up the enemy with the trucks there. And when they got done, because once the guys were doing it, knew what was happening, and they're being very polite, but they're just doing what they had to do. And he said, "Let me caution you," as he give me everything back, because instead of being over there for a short period of time, I was there for a long time. They were going through everything I had. He said, "Let me caution you. You obey every stop sign. You obey every law. In other words, don't you do a single thing that will cause them, to create a problem that they can get rid of you from here." And as I can remember, the last day, the big uprising of it, we had Operation Save America was there, and they had them isolated on one side, and those who wanted all this stuff, the enemy, another area of where it was the event was taking place, and I just circled the area. Finally, I had the police pull me over and says, "You go around this side one more time. I'm going to do a and no, I said, he's the one who told me, so I'm going to incite you for creating a riot." I said, "Okay, that's what it's saying. I'm going to incite you for raising, creating a riot, because that's what was going on." But that's what was there, and that's what I could do, and they had everything roped off. But let me tell you, I'm not fearless, And I can remember Ante later on talking, just bragging about when I was there, what went on, and he was astonished at where I was, what I was doing. And I can remember when we finished up, because the press was there. This thing was really got the exposure because it was a high issue. And in the Lord's grace to me, it was difficult, but I was able to be there and do it. And the last time I went around, everything was open. They're opening up the streets. Things were coming in. And I kept getting, okay, I can leave. But then I'd go around the corner again, and here would be a big camera taking a picture of my truck. So I kept going, went around more. Finally, the last time I did, still crowds of people, I pulled up, and a lot of your white shirt cops were there. And one of them walked over, stopped me from moving, wouldn't let me move, And he let me know the problem I have been to them there. And he said, this event is over. You come around here one more time, and you won't be driving away in this vehicle. In other words, I'm going to do a DMV check on you, and I guarantee you I'll find something wrong. I said, yes, sir. Lord, you told me it's time for me to leave. And I did.
What was that event again?
It had to do with they were going to build the mosque.
Oh, the mosque. Okay. Okay, I got you.
Twin Towers in New York back then.
Okay.
It was a very, very scary, hairy event. I said, everybody hated me.
Okay, everybody but maybe Auntie and the LSA people.
Oh, yeah. Our side, the ones over there, would be different. But what are they doing other than in favor of it? They don't take action. The ones that hated me are activists. They did stuff. I had my life threatened. I talked with police. I tried to park near police, and they'd say, well, you'll be fine here. No, I wouldn't be fine there. I look at it. Cops are not standing here. I'm just in the area. What they could do to me. So I was constantly looking, where can I be? What can I do?
Okay, I got one last question.
Sure.
We talked about retirement because, you're obviously getting more and more disabled, and it's getting harder for you to minister as you did in the past, and your body is getting weaker, and your vehicles are getting older, and needing a lot of repairs. And we talked about a nursing home, but you said that you wouldn't even consider that. Why?
Well, I'll reword your question. Okay. At this time of life, you get a little bit more serious with the Lord, your end-of-life decisions and what you've done with it. And I want to be a Barnabas. I've got it here in my mirror, Barnabas. The word Barnabas means son of encouragement. Son of encouragement. I want to be an encourager, not a criticizer. And what kind of heritage are we going to leave for our children? What kind of, have we proven to be faithful or not? What kind of example have we set? Chuck Swindoll did a wonderful 2 sermons, which out of Timothy, one qualifying to get in the ministry, what I did, that was in 1 Timothy, but the ending of it, I like the way he worded it. The end of Terry, to Timothy. Let's see, he had looking back with no regrets. What kind of heritage have we left for others? And that's what the sermon was about. And that's what I want to be about. Finishing well, what so many people in this, and particularly in my age bracket and younger, with having to be on the streets, having to do, the way they've served in the past, they're done. They've had to be done. I am blessed that this billboard is a ministry that I have. And I'm very blessed with it. And people talked about retirement, and I said, I don't see that word in my Bible. My Bible talks about change of job description. Okay? And the fact of what can you do and how can your life be a witness to others of, and that's where I am. Okay? Nursing home, there's 2 ways. Being what we do, I face the idea that I'm surprised I'm still alive. I figured I'd be dead a long time ago. Okay? Either when we're active at the clinics, on the streets, somebody run me off the road for some reason or another, or as it happened with you and Donna, you had a bullet in your van. They fired at you. Okay, so that could happen. And the realizing that, thinking about, Lord, this is my wishes, my dreams, or what I'd like to have. I've made statements at churches, okay, which first half they like it. You know, so I quote a chaplain. This chaplain said, you know, I'd like to die for a good reason. Whenever I quote that in church, everybody just, they like that. I'd like to die for a good reason. But they don't like the second sentence. Because if I don't die for a good reason, one day I will die for no reason at all. No reason at all. Okay. For my tombstone, I've tried to have that all laid out. Okay. Things to be said at my funeral. Matt Terrell is going to have he's got a good statement by that, and he and I have done that as far as preparing. Okay. On my gravestone, okay, one of two sentence statements I'd like to have. If I die of natural causes, Acts 13:36, when David had served God's purpose. If I die in action like Jim Hoyan did, Revelation 14:13. Blessed is he that died in the Lord, for whatever it might mean. If I die of, I'll get into quoting a statement where motivates a lot. I do Jack DeVault, okay, whom was a very good friend, leader in the early days. And with where we are with our health, he said, I just came to the point of where I had to decide with his body, just stay at home and enjoy my family. I said, you know, I've decided to do exactly the same thing. My home is here witnessing, and if I die of just natural causes, for them to find me on Constitution Avenue sleeping in front of the White House, okay, and of natural causes in my truck, okay. If I'm shot in the streets, there I'll be, as far as being martyred there. That's where the Lord decided to end my life that would be a positive example to others. Okay, when he talked about a nursing home, somebody to take care of me, I already explained, I think, with my crushed heel and everything like that, which could have brought on my congestive heart failure, which you started to talk about earlier. Okay, my inactivity at that time that brought that about in my health, one thing leading to another, to another, to another. Okay, but as they said about a nursing home, somebody take care of you. I said, the only nursing home, and I'm asking the Lord for this, okay, somebody do that. What a waste of my end of my life. If I am in a nursing home, somebody taking care of me, I'm down to that point. I'd like for there to be bars on the windows. At least there I'm a witness to somebody. And I think the scriptures, which I thought about with that one, is 1 Peter 19. So then, those who suffer according to God's will should commit themselves to their faithful Creator and continue to good. If I'm in jail, one of my joys is one time, as the Lord used it, and me having a Bible study every day. One time I was in, I think it was Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was there for 3 weeks. That one, or no, it wasn't. It was in Montgomery. But anyway, it was a different jail I was in. And I had a Bible. I had 2 Bible studies. First time I ever really wanted 2 Bible studies. So I had 2 Bible studies, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Later on, Jenny Dyer told me about whatever the name is that was faithful on the streets at that time. Okay. She said she wound up talking with one of the guards there at the jail where I was. And she said he used to sit in a chair right around the corner from where you were. You couldn't see him, but he could hear you. and he listened to your Bible studies, going over the scriptures every day. I thought, what a blessing to be used that way. So for whatever it might mean, all I know is that I want to go out serving, not only as a heritage example to others, but I want to live it to the fullest. Okay? I want to live out that when David had served God's purpose. We're here to witness we're here for his good pleasure, not the other way around. And the joy is in being used by him. Not always fun, but what joy to have your life worthwhile. And particularly, I'm thankful the Lord has given me a heart for our children. What kind of moral standard are we turning over to them? And for me to be able to do as much as I can do in that category of witnessing, standing up for them.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to hope that I recorded everything, and because I don't use this recorder very often, but
well, I'll be around.
Okay.
I'm a phone call away. And to get it together, I should get on the road. I was only going to be here. First of all, I wasn't even going to be here. Then I decided I should come here. Then I found in session. And naturally, my exercises, everything, keep my body moving. You got to do it. It's not you've done it once, it's over. It's continued. And the blessing is the legislators are just off to the side of me here. So for whatever it might mean, at least I've been witnessing. By the time I get back on the road.
All right.
And instead of traveling, because I'm trying to travel less at night, Alan's been after me for a long time with that. And he's right. But how do you accomplish things not traveling at night? I'm trying to limit myself, what I do. Because it's a wise thing to do. And so I'll get back to doing that. And once again, it's our Lord direction. Okay, so I'll get down. What we covered, I covered some things I wanted to with you, one or another. Wasn't what I thought I was going to, but you've also got, I'm sending to you a letter that Matt Twella has. Okay, I got the letter back from him. I originally sent it to him years ago when he's going to be doing my funeral. Okay, and it was from Rochelle Shannon. I completely forgot it even existed. And with the car wreck, everything I had was gone. Talking to Matt, he sent me back a copy of it. I read it. I said, how on earth could you beat this as far as being a compliment of what I do, of the heritage, of the example? She was extremely nice. Okay, so Matt sent it back to me. I've made a copy of it, and I'm planning on sending it to you for whatever it might mean.
Okay.
Okay. If I'll throw it away, you're trash. If nothing else, I'm just saying.
Well, I always make copies of stuff, so even if I lose the hard copy, I'll have a digital copy. So. Right.
I wouldn't have all the paperwork I have if you hadn't done that. For which I am thankful.
All right. Well, I better let you go, and I hope that this thing recorded properly.
Once again, we'll give her another try. Anything we have that by the time I want to finish well, and finishing well has a lot to do with encouraging the heritage, and I want to do that well. Okay, and just like I appreciate you, the part you played, I'm very thankful for that. So I will, we'll be in touch, as we have been. Okay?
All right, Ron.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.